Nitschke Podcast. Very excited, a familiar face for me. Cam Hawke from Yellow Brick Road in Mount Barker. Thanks for coming along, Cam.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
It's a pleasure to see you. We chat regularly. We've known each other for quite a long time now. Going back
12 years when we bought in opposite Mitre 10 in the estate in there. I think would have been the first time, was it?
I think so, yeah. And that was back when that was a display home and did the big move then and many moves since and career changes and things happening, family growing up.
It's called life, Michael.
It is.
It's kind of
a journey.
Well, sometimes we just don't know what's the road ahead, and
so true.
But we get to share that with our clients, I think, more than anything else, as they're seeing them going from A to B in so many instances, and not just buying bricks and mortar, but buying a home, which makes it more personal. So yeah, all of those ups and downs of the rides of clients, I think, and just seeing them move on in through life, and actually having the privilege of being with them on that journey and helping them through that, what can be quite an emotional state, you could say, sometimes. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the journey piece is so true, and I think you have all these chapters along the way, and we've shared a number of chapters together in your own personal journey, and I was so thrilled when you opened up your firm many years ago in broking, and you've got a wonderful reputation with all things finance in the Adelaide Hills. We've got a lot of clients that we've overlapped and worked together on by just the virtue of the great reputation and work that you do. Today, it'd be obviously great to share your story a little bit with our audience, but also want to talk about an interesting topic today, providence.
Yes.
Tell me more. Tell me about providence.
So I guess, I started off in broking in 2014 with my own business. I just sensed a life change, that it wasn't working. I was working for a multinational and just sensed that was coming to an end. Fork in the road, as you'd say. And just...
Yellow Brick Road.
What's that? Yellow Brick Road, yeah, true. Didn't even think of that. But being Christian, I just prayed the right doors would open, and sure enough, the ones that I thought would open didn't. But I always thought about doing my own business, that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
And then sure enough, the one that opened was finance. So I got the privilege to actually work in the finance field. Providence, as you said, is a topic that I wanted to talk about, which when you look at the definitions in Bing, timely preparation for future eventualities. Okay. And I think, so that's like, there's also, again, being Christian, there's a God piece in sometimes where people would use the word providence for a definition.
Yes.
But in life, we're all moving through life trying to get from A to B. And especially when it comes to property in a home, as I said to you before the podcast, you can't live in shares or you can't live in a term deposit.
No.
Homes are a lot more of a personal, homes and cars, where we live our lives and how we get from A to B. But it's about having the timely preparation for the future eventuality of a home, I think, is the key bit, where I see so many things of people trying to get from A to B. They've got chapters closing, like let's say, for example, that I did, moving into a new chapter, new job, it could be a new state that they're moving to, new partner,
growing family.
And you also cater in for the unfortunate eventualities in life where people have moved on in relationships. Could be someone's passed away. There's all different things where people are trying to move from A to B. But what I have found in property is that it's proper preparation and just and also that timing in providence is so important, that getting yourself prepared then enables for the magic, as you'd say, to happen, where you're just going, I'm wanting to find a home for my family, for example, or just for myself, and then having all those ducks in a row and being prepared then gives that ability for just that right property, right place, right time, the seller and the buyer align more than anything else, and that you just know, you'd see it as an agent, you're going, it's the right fit. You're just going, it's absolutely, this is the right thing for it to happen. It's not only, because even when I'm selling a property, you go like, well, I also want I've been a custodian of that home. It's served me well.
Yes.
So I want to be able to pass it on to someone and know that person who's buying it's going to take good care of it. You might say, well, that's just me, Cam. I don't know. But I think there is that element in it for a lot of people as well, where it's just going in life that you're just pulling on the heartstrings. You know it's right.
Yes.
And I think, and that's, I've seen it so many times in broking that you just have to make sure that my clients are ready, so that when that property comes up, you have to strike right when the iron's hot, because it can be just a right. I had one down in the city where I had a window of maybe 2 or 3 days, I reckon, where it was just, we already had the finance lodged, pre-approval, and it was just that there was another buyer who wasn't quite ready, and their offer came in at the right time, and then sure enough, interest rates also went up, which affected the borrowing power, and we got it formally approved before the interest rates went up.
Wow. So
it was just all that, but if we'd waited another 2 weeks, wouldn't have happened.
It's that preparation, isn't it? And I think that's where our business philosophies have always aligned really well. We have a saying in our business in another way is that if you prepare well, you'll sell well. You know, if you rush a home to market and you haven't had a building inspection done to get an understanding of where it's at, you haven't repainted, you haven't got the gardens ready, whatever the case may be, you won't sell as well as if you did take the time to prepare. It's the providence piece again.
That's it. So I see it so many times, but even in that preparing well, we've been in a market which has been quite buoyant, where you could get away with a little bit more of that, I reckon, recently. But there's also been a lot of commentary moving forward. Are we hitting a cliff? For example, are we getting to a point where properties are suddenly going to drop? You see the commentary on the media. They're going, okay, we're going to see a 20% drop, and all the naysayers, as you'd say. But I keep on watching. I go, well, you don't buy a whole postcode, or you don't buy a trend.
No. You're
buying a property. So it depends on what the property is and really what you value it at, because it might be that you want that as your home. You're willing to pay 10 grand more because it's your home, because it's where you're going to be your life it's 2 minutes from the sports club, for example, or the kids' school, or whatever.
I was about to say, we see it all the time where a family wants to buy in a postcode to get the school zone for the kids starting next year. It doesn't matter whether interest rates are 3, 6, 9%. They're looking long term. They're going, we're going to put our kids through school.
It's interesting you say, because that's one of my first questions. When I see anyone with family or the horizon of family, I'd be going, where are the kids going to go to school? That would be my question first, because straight away, if they're wanting to go to a government school, it's about that postcode zoning. Or just even forward thinking that, because it's a lot of clients have been thankful that they've actually thought of that up front. So before they've bought the home, so that they've covered off that in advance. So it's, you can find property can be significantly more expensive by the postcode as well. So Littlehampton's example, where that school is tightly held, and but if you go down the city, Brighton, another one which has always been tightly held for the high school down there. So it's all interesting.
It is. So with that preparation piece again as part of Providence, what are some of the steps that you're trying to encourage your clients in the financial space to take so that they can be ready for their Providence moment?
So especially in today's market, you need a pre-approval. But
it's critical.
So any agent's going to be asking, are you finance approved? Because also it's a seller who needs to move on. So it's having that preparation, and that's really goes for any market, but it's been even heightened even more recently because we've had a glut of buyers, but not as many sellers. So it means that you've really got to put your best foot forward if you're trying to secure a property. So don't dance around trying to save that extra $1,000. Just put your best offer, but also have your finance pre-approved. I guess my job is really to set the goalposts. So I'm trying to I've got a low end. It's normally not really an issue, but it's the top end of the goalpost. You're going, right, this is your absolute maximum. And it's been a bit difficult at the moment because of changing interest rates. So it's getting that balance of, imagine if because you've got different lenders will have pre-approval policies as well, that how they treat a pre-approval and when they unlock a servicing assessment again, or borrowing power assessment.
Yeah.
So some of them will lock that and know you've got some certainty around 90 days. So say Commonwealth Bank's one of those that normally do their home seeker, and for 90 days they're not going to recredit assess that. They've approved the loan amount. And you can bank on that, but most lenders will know they'd change it as soon as the assessment rate changes. They'll change their borrowing power. So it's quite critical. You're dealing as an agent trying to deal with an offer, and you go, okay, well someone's been pre-approved, but when were they pre-approved, at what rate? All those. It's about setting that expectation so that clients are well informed about what they can and can't do. Because I think that's the key point, because you're trying to you've got a seller who's trying to sell a property and you're wanting to move forward, and you want to know with surety that everyone does. because it's just you don't want any surprises. So I think that's been the complex in an increasing rate market. That's really the main pressure point that I see, that you just got to make sure that clients are just not going off on a tangent, might be, and just that they're well informed.
And it's hard to manage that as well, because ultimately, I mean, in a similar world, we want to support people's journeys on the properties that they want to buy and moving them forward. It's the emotion that comes in, and you've got such a wonderful way of keeping things really practical around the preparation for each client you work with. But it's hard to remain practical when, as a consumer, you're going, yeah, but I love that house. I want that one. Yeah. Why can't I have that one, Cam?
Yeah, well, that comes back to the providence piece, because I've had many clients who've been sure that this is the one. Cam, I'm telling you, this is the one.
It must be this.
Yeah. And then it's like their souls have been destroyed. Nearly they're heartbroken because they didn't get the property. But sure enough, I'd have at least 10 clients, I think it would be, that have thought they were going to get a property, didn't get it, weren't successful, but then something has come along in the next few months, and I haven't had any one of those come back saying that they've regretted their choice, and it was, in the end, it was the perfect property at the right time. They've been most happy with it, and actually been thankful that one then came along, because there was something about it that it might be, you can't really say exactly what it was, but there would have been something about it that whether it was a lower price point, they have to have 20 grand, they didn't need something as big as what they wanted, it was in a better location, all different, there'll be a different reason, but there was something about it that just they're not feeling that the same pain that they had on the day when they found out their offer wasn't accepted on a property that they thought was meant to be theirs. So
it's the benefit of hindsight, isn't it? And you're right. I mean, I say to our clients all the time that things will fall into place, you know, again, if you prepare well and then take the steps you need to. I mean, you have to take action. You can't just sort of sit and wait. You've got to have a go. One of the things we've seen, the market is still strong, as we talked about off camera, but it's not quite as overheated perhaps as what it was 2 or 3 months ago. And so what we were seeing in that market was buyers just deciding not to participate anymore, like they were just over it. And we're saying, look, if you really want this to happen, you have to keep trying, because, as you say, providence, the right one will fall in your way when it's meant to.
Yeah. So I think providence will occur.
Yes.
If you prepare well, it will occur. So it's just then about the right place, right time, right property. So I guess so first of all, you've got to put yourself in a position for it to allow it to happen. So that's where you've got to be in the market. If you're not in the market, you're nowhere. So I guess it's just you're just sitting around drifting, and you can't just suddenly go out and think that I'll just suddenly see something on the weekend, like some of the old days, and then somebody suddenly placed an offer and bought a house. It's not like that, or at least...
It hasn't been like that for a long time.
No. Yeah. So you need to be prepared, I think. But I guess moreover on the market, because you have people not participating, the question about will the market drop? You hear the stories of 20% drops, but it's what we've seen. I was going back through my old records, just looking at it, and I've got the price of land in Mount Barker, the same block of land, has most probably gone up 70 grand. So if you're buying a 12.5 metre block, was around 140, so 12.5 metre block, so it's about 350 square metre. Depends on the depth, of course, even up to 400. But yeah, you were paying a good 150, 160 grand. So it's gone up at least 70 grand. So it's like we've set a new benchmark. So and typically I've said with South Australia, or what my observation has been, I'm not an expert, this is not financial advice, but every 20 years we seem to get a catch up, or every 15 to 20 years we get a catch up on the eastern seaboard collectively in South Australia. So that's just, if you look at the median price, so last time we had a major growth period was around 2001, 2 and 3. And I know that because I sold a property back when I was living in the western suburbs of Adelaide. We bought a property and sold a property within 18 months, and it went up about 140 grand, and we didn't do anything to it. So that's how I knew in that was one instance. But we've had that. COVID has masked that, I believe, in South Australia, because we've seen a lot of people move from interstate back or over to South Australia because they see properties a lot cheaper.
Very true. So
we've had that benchmark change. So if people are waiting for property to reduce and thinking that suddenly that entry price is going to reduce, it's not. Well, it's not in my opinion.
I share that view. I think that our market, we've never really been a leading market. We tend to follow. So we, as you say, what's happened in the eastern states over the last 20 years, and they have more of a roller coaster effect. It ultimately goes up, but up, down, up, down. We just kind of plod and hold, and then eventually we lift.
Feast and famine.
And it's very exciting. But my gut feel is that I think we're heading to a gentle plateau of the market, and I think if the areas of the market that will be probably more deeply affected will be your sort of top end premium. The higher in price you go, you typically get the more discerning purchases, and then around the median, your mortgage belt, as you like, you've got families that have got an emotional motivation to move, that they're going to keep having that, and it will hold the market. Yeah,
and the first home buyer market as well. You've got government grant kicks in for the builder up to $575,000 for house and land. With all the new guarantee programs, the government have got 40,000 places, 35,000 for first home buyers and 5,000 for single parents who've gone through a divorce. Those have now property price cap of $600,000. So that's where I'm going. You've got that entry price point, which has continued to be stimulated by the government, and also we've had the increase of that lower end, where now we've had that step change. So that will hold steady, and I think if anyone was worried about buying into the market, well, I just can't see that going negative, because your cost to replace is going to be more than what it would have to be. It would be cheaper to buy existing, for example, than cost to replace.
And
so
that would sort of underpin it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so kind of they do work hand in hand. So I tend to sense that part of the market's fine. So delaying is only going to cost you more. So I guess if you're entering into the market, and as you said, at the top end of the market, that's where normally there's a little bit more discretion, because you've got purchasers who maybe got a bit more borrowing power, because they're buying at that higher level of category. So either way, it's I think Adelaide's going to continue to hold well, and we tend to ride out most of these factors. And Adelaide Hills is still also reasonably quite stable, I think. So we're up in the Adelaide Hills. If we're talking about Unley or North Adelaide, there could be different suburbs in there that will see more of a hit, for example. But again, South Australia, I don't think it's going to be anywhere like what they're commenting on the eastern seaboard.
Pretty resilient through this period. Time will tell, but we'll see.
Well, how many people move from the eastern seaboard over here as well? It just that seem to continue to stimulate it, or just choose to invest.
Yes.
So it's all So, but either way, I think it's not doom and gloom.
I agree. Fascinating insight, Cam, and particularly around the concept of providence, for clients that are perhaps in a position where they're tuning into our podcast today going, gee, I need to find my providence. I need this to happen. They need to get in touch with you and start to look at their preparation, don't they? Because it starts there. Yeah.
Well, because the first thing is see a broker. Yes. I think more than anything else. Because there's, and see a good broker more than anything else. So it's who can just. My approach is simply just to say, look, we'll throw everything at a wall. Something will stick. So it's just working out, because quite often clients will come in and they're not sure what they want to do. So that's the only approach that I know works. It's proven, because you go, well, eventually they'll say, well, no, I don't want that, and then eventually something will stick.
Yes.
So I think, but it's the key point is at least dealing with a broker. Well, then they're not dealing with just one lender who has one policy. Because I've found, you've had clients where I had one who approached me the other day who had a decline. Nothing wrong with the client. They just moved job, and it meant the lender couldn't accept their income, even though it was full-time income. Just they weren't going to accept a probation period.
Okay.
There was nothing wrong with the clients, but they felt terrible because they just had to decline. But there was absolutely nothing wrong with the scenario. I also had a seller who was getting nervous. And you go, well, no, there's no reason to be nervous. There's nothing wrong here. It's just you've got a mismatch of the lender policy versus the actual client's need. So it's just clients came out of that, and this was just a phone call. They felt so much better after feeling rubbish before, because they just felt, well, this is never going to happen for us. And sure enough, now they're conditionally approved. We're waiting for evaluation at the moment. Awesome. So it's just about, again, whoever you're working with, you just need good people around you who are just sound and just can give you the right information so that you can make the right decision, so that providence for them can occur. I think is if you're connecting all the dots, because you just want to know that because it can get emotional. So just at that right height of everything, you go like, all right, we just need to pump the brakes, just all right, is this the one? and just make sure all our ducks in a row. And as I said, I've had clients as well, they bought a property because they offered an extra $1,000. So it's just all those different things, right? What's your strategy? Whilst I can't give advice, for example, it's just I go, well, it's kind of bouncing the things. Can we do this?
What's possible?
Yeah, all those different things. And you go, okay, and try and navigate that way through for providence to occur. So,
well said, Cam. Cam, it's been far too long. I'm so glad we got you on the podcast today. We'll definitely have another chat soon. And thanks for being a part of the Nitschke Podcast today.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thanks, Michael.